takes hold and spreads to every part of me. And I fear I will follow in your footsteps. I am alone and scared. I beg for your guidance. Before the darkness takes me, I see you. No.
Few would brave such a desperate journey into darkness, but it isn't bravery that drives Senua. Only those afraid of death would use such terms. Senua's fear runs far deeper.
They know you're weak. Get up and fight. You're pathetic.
Control the fear. Let it pass through. Remember his words.
We are now approaching the most important phase of development so far, where we'll define how Hellblade will look, feel and play. The goal is to create a small section of the game, about 10 to 15 minutes in length, to a near finished standard. This is what we call a vertical slice, and it's something that we've done for all of our games, but this time the stakes are higher.
The independent AAA model is an experiment to see if we can do a AAA quality game, but with an indie-sized team and budget. And the vertical slice was going to be a crucial test for this model.
So far we've worked out new ways of working for every part of the game. We had a test scene we shot in our capture studio, the basics of our combat engine up and running. We had an idea of how to build the world in Helheim, some music recorded by Andy LaPlaga, and an approach for creating enemies. Making them all work together in gameplay would be a major challenge.
Dan started working on a new type of environment, a forest, set in the outskirts of Helheim. Balázs took the test scene that we shot in our last dev diary and placed it within this setting. And to fill out some of the story elements, we turned to Side UK in London. They helped us cast actors and record some dialogues for use in the vertical slice.
Feel your way towards the source.
With that, we started introducing some non-combat based gameplay into the level, based on our ideas for story and altered perception. We had a new character design which we modelled and textured and animated, and in tandem the coders and gameplay team were working on the AI systems to make sure that he's fun to play against.
After 10 weeks of work we had a level in place that could be played from start to finish, but this is just the beginning of the process.
It's very difficult to judge your own work. You're too close to the project. We're too biased to know whether what we create is going to work for other players.
We have a small room set up in the studio equipped with a mic and a camera. A couple of people from another team were invited to play the game, while the Hellblade team sat in another room and watched.
The session didn't go smooth. In fact, it was best described as a disaster. The combat was really messy and unclear in the new setting, and the AI was really frustrating for players. The level was described as too small, too linear, too awkward to navigate, and yet despite this, people were still getting lost. Senua herself felt very flat and unconnected with the world, just not believable.
The team were despondent as the reality of the session hit home. We'd failed to create the experience that we'd been looking for.
But you have to start at rock bottom before you can even attempt to reach for the top. In my experience, it usually takes about 3 goes to make something work and 5 to make it good.
The team gathered and made notes on issues and improvements that we wanted to make. We made a big list and got back to work.
To fix the layout problems, we made the level a lot less linear, expanded it, opened it up and dressed it so it helped guide the player without them really being aware of it. Jeff, our new character artist, joined at this point, and he started by creating a new enemy variant to add more diversity to the combat. To make Senua feel more believable, we added a system of partial animation so that she could physically react and portray the mood that she's in. To make the combat feel very clear to the player, we animated all of the enemy attacks from scratch, and we also gave different visual and sound effects for every single type of attack in the game. 4 weeks later, we were pretty confident that we'd addressed most of the issues, so we ran another playtest. As we watched the playtest session, the game pretty quickly unraveled before our eyes. Now, it wasn't as bad as the last time, so at least we knew we were going in the right direction, but it was clear we still had a lot of work to do.
Sony at this point invited us to get the game into the hands of journalists at a pre-E3 event called Judges Day. The deadline for this meant that we only had 2 weeks to get the vertical slice into shape.
And so we created another massive list, but with only 2 weeks left, it was looking pretty tight at this point.
The initial vertical slice took 10 weeks to put together. The second pass took 4 weeks, and the third, 2 weeks.
What we've learned creating the vertical slice has given us confidence to face the next set of challenges in development. That's what the true value of the vertical slice is. It's not really necessarily the end result, but it is the setbacks, learning through repeated failure to find the heart of what you're searching for.
The final playtest of the vertical slice will be in the hands of the journalists at Judges Day. We'll be presenting the game behind closed doors, and we'll find out if our work has paid off. Regardless, we'll be sharing the highlights of the vertical slice before E3. Hellblade will follow Senua's dark and harrowing journey into a hellish underworld. She needs to feel real, nuanced, complex, and believable. For cutscenes in a typical AAA game, a voice artist delivers the dialogue, another actor performs the body motion, and animators hand key the face and cameras. It can take a team of 30 or 40 artists to stitch together all of the cutscenes in this way. Our entire team on Hellblade is 13 people, yet we still believe that there is a way to shoot and produce high quality cutscenes on a budget.
Ever since we shot Heavenly Sword 10 years ago at Weta Digital, we've always captured face, body and voice simultaneously, and that's what we call performance capture.
Noriko! We have to get out of here! Ah! Noriko! Help me!
Leave her alone!
Heavenly Sword was the first game to use performance capture, yet it's still rarely used in games today. The perception is that it's too difficult and too expensive for most games, even in the AAA bracket.
We don't have the budget to shoot cutscenes in a performance capture studio like we have done in our previous games, so instead we started prototyping homebrew hardware and software solutions to see if we could find another way. Our first prototype rig consisted of several GoPro cameras with different lenses. So pairs of cameras would capture the face in 3D, the body, and also pick up on visual markers around the room. And the idea was that you'd be able to capture face, body, and even the camera position anywhere in 3D space without having to have a purpose-built studio.
The device was giving us data, but it soon became clear that we needed more time and more resources than we had available to make it robust enough for commercial use.
So we contacted our friends at Viking, who are leading players in high-end motion capture solutions, to see if they could help us out within our limitations on Hellblade.
Thankfully, Viking were able to find a solution that worked within our constraints. They sent us 12 of their Bonita cameras and a Blade server to drive them.
We don't have space in our studio for shooting, so we cleared out our largest meeting room, and to mount the Bonita cameras, we bought some cheap wardrobe posts from IKEA, which did the job nicely. We did some tests, and the body data we got back were easily as good as anything we've ever captured before. So we moved on to our next challenge, which is how do you capture the face?
As facial performance is captured with video, we needed good even lighting in the room. Studio lights are very expensive, but we found an alternative solution, cheap LED lights that we bought from Amazon.
Now we had good even lighting, we could capture the face using video. And to do this, we had previously created a prototype using a cricket helmet, some umbrella wire and a webcam. Using the cricket helmet, we could capture facial expressions, and then we started developing our own facial solver. The facial solver is needed to interpret the video feed into real-time 3D facial expressions.
I want each person here to give George their report by Thursday afternoon. Stop laughing, Stuart. You fucking wally.
For the shoot proper, we would need a much more robust solution than the cricket helmet. So for that, Viking kindly lent us their high-end Cara head rig, which consists of 4 cameras, which allows you to capture the full 3D facial expression of the actor.
Despite good results, we're still looking for even more cost-effective solutions, including 3D printing our own helmet.
So now we knew we could capture the face, but you still need to convert that video feed into a believable real-time digital double. And to create a digital double, we used a technique called photogrammetry, which is able to construct a 3D face from a series of photographs. But instead of just using still photographs, we used GoPro cameras, and that way we could capture the full range of expressions as they happen. And to capture even finer levels of detail, such as skin pores and wrinkles, we created another prototype device called the plant pot. And it's called a plant pot because it's actually housed within a plant pot casing. And inside we've set up some LED lights, and it's controlled with a Raspberry Pi and some custom code. So the idea is that you could put this onto any surface, and by triggering the lights you can capture still photographs with different lighting conditions. And from that you can create a very high-res normal map which captures very precise details. So now we had a solution for both the face and the body, but we also wanted to capture the camera itself, which is very much a part of visual storytelling. And to do that we built a further rig. On it we attached a GoPro camera, a portable LCD screen, and put markers on the rig so that every nuance of the camera could be captured on set in the scene.
Finally, to capture audio, we rented a wireless recording system. Our room isn't soundproof, but even so, we were pleasantly surprised with the result. It meant that we wouldn't have to record audio separately.
But we're still pushing other areas and other types of performance capture. These are highly experimental and may or may not produce results.
With just a few £1,000s, we now had a setup in the studio that would allow us to capture a full performance: face, body, voice and cameras.
We also hope to show that a small team with limited means is still able to capture high-end character performances, and this is something that up until now has only been the preserve of big-budget AAA studios. So to fully test our setup and see if all the pieces of the puzzle come together, we conducted a test shoot, and we're still putting this together, and it's something that we hope to show you soon.